welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I'm gonna walk my happy butt over to the futon to check out the Apple Plus exclusive, The Gorge. The Gorge is directed by Scott Dickerson, and it's starring Anna Taylor-Joy and Mills Teller. This film tells the story of two special ops snipers who are given the task to protect the world from this gorge. There's something down in the bottom of this thing, and no one knows exactly what it is. Now here's the catch though. These two snipers are on different sides of the gorge and they can't communicate with each other in a traditional sense. So they try to do whatever they possibly can to just kind of get through the day and all the time there. Well, while these two are getting to know each other from a distance, something in that gorge comes out and they gotta fight it. This film tries to cross over into tons of different genres, and I'm going to make sure that each one of these genres is going to be represented fully, because this film boasts a sci-fi, horror, thriller, action, romance film. That's right, there's going to be a romance attached to this movie also, and which makes sense considering that at the time of the filming of this, it is the day before Valentine's Day. Tomorrow is February 14th, and so you know what, something else I'm going to think of too is whether or not this film is something that you want to sit down with and get all cuddly on the old couchy with your partner, significant other, or what have you. So you know what, it's enough of me sitting here jibber-jabbering on, because I got a big old fatty waiting for me over there at the old futon. My cat Haku, that is. And of course the big old fat joint that I rolled too. Well anyways guys, it's enough of me sitting here jibber-jabbering on. It's time for me to get over to the futon to check out The Gorge. Just getting done watching The Gorge, and guys, I really enjoyed this movie. This film really surprised me. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with negatives, then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. The first thing I want to talk about is all of the different genres that this film tries to cram into it. And I'm not saying that it does a bad job, but it does try to take on a lot of different things. This movie has elements of horror, romance, action, and hell, there's even a couple of good jokes in this movie. And for the most part, the film does deliver on all of the genres, but in order to flesh out those genres and to develop the story in a nice cohesive manner, it does add to the runtime a little bit and causes the film to feel a little draggy in parts. A movie like this with the subject matter and such a basic story, it really shouldn't be more than an hour and a half long, because even when the mystery of what's going on is revealed, nothing really too out of the ordinary is going on that we haven't seen before in the film. It's just the fact that a lot of different elements are put into this movie that makes it feel really unique. Also, there's this sub-character, you could almost call her a secondary villain in this story, played by Sigourney Weaver. And while she doesn't do a bad job acting, the acting is just fine, the character itself does not necessarily need to be there whatsoever. Now, this character does have a bit of an important role at the beginning of the film, but in order for this character to be kind of like a sub-villain, there's already enough stuff going on with the mystery of what the gorge really is, the creatures that live inside of it, and so on. We didn't really need another villain added into this story. It just seemed like a little bit more padding for the film. But all in all, guys, I have to say that this film really surprised me, and it does a really good job of telling its story, even if it does get a little draggy in spots, and it does a great job of developing the different genres that are in this film, but it does have some issues with that. And the one thing I noticed with that was it felt like the movie was kind of divided up into different segments. So at the first part of the film, we're kind of setting the story, and our characters are apart from each other on the different sides of the gorge, the east and the west. And during this time, in the first act, this is mostly where we get to know our characters, get to know the world building a little bit, but the two of them aren't necessarily building a relationship together. And then by the time we start rolling into the second act, the two of them are starting to communicate more with signs and dry erase boards, binoculars, the whole nine yards. The most amazing binoculars ever seen, by the way, but it is sci-fi, so whatever. Anyways, the two of them go on and the story develops in that way, but the problem is that it feels like it's kind of segmented off into almost like its own little stories and its own chapters. Now, it's not terrible and it doesn't hurt the film, it just kind of slows things down a little bit, and during those moments there are some moments of action that do help the world building and all, and they kind of keep the movie from feeling like too much of a slow burn and slowing down into those moments where they're doing the world building and all. By the time we get to the third act of this film, to the climax of the film, there is non-stop action and enjoyment. That brings me to the special effects of this film. Now, most of this movie, it looks like there was some green screen used, but there was also some shots on location. There's also CGI and practical effects that are used. And all in all, everything looks extremely solid. The CGI and practical effects work together hand in hand, which is something that I absolutely love. I like it when filmmakers can use both CGI and practical effects and work them together to use CGI as more of a tool and not something to completely rely upon. There's great moments in this film of makeup, and the creature design I really enjoyed. They're both frightening and at the same time not necessarily disgusting zombie tree people, I guess you can say. All in all, folks, I felt like this film really delivered on a lot of its elements and a lot of its promises, even though in some areas of this film it did feel like it dragged down a little bit and might have had a little bit of padding added in. For a film that you can find on a streaming service, I would have to say this is a really solid film. Now, as I said in my intro, I would talk about the romance aspect of this film also, because good old Valentine's Day. Well, our two lead characters actually have great chemistry together, and watching their friendship and relationship bloom is one of the highlights of the film. In the second act, where we start to see our two characters come together and develop a relationship and start communicating with each other, we find that they're very endearing and very likable people. You want to see these two characters succeed and get through this situation that they found themselves in. Even though these two people are trained assassins, they are good people at their core, and you do want to see them succeed. Their character is both very well fleshed out and well developed. Neither one of them come off as two-dimensional. They're very well fleshed out characters. The story, the world building, everything is very well executed in this film, and all in all, I have to say that this is an extremely solid watch, and I'm very surprised that it's just on a streaming service, because in all honesty, guys, this movie would have looked good up on the big screen. Some of the special effects, some of the CGI is in some kind of dark areas, so maybe they're using the darkness to kind of hide some budget restraints they may have had in their special effects, but all in all, everything is really out in front of the camera and things that you can really see and define. All in all, excellent film that you can find on Apple. Now, is this a movie that you should go and download Apple? Well, in all honesty, guys, I mean, I got the free subscription to Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus TV or whatever. I got a free subscription just so I could watch this movie. In just complete honesty, the way things worked out was I was totally going to go see Captain America Brave New World this evening, but we've had some pretty nasty weather hit us here in Kansas City in the last couple of days, and I was a little worried that the roads might freeze over tonight, so I decided maybe I should stay inside, see if there was a good streaming movie on, and I found this one, and I'm like, well, I don't have Apple Plus, but I can get a 3-month free subscription, so why not give it a shot? So I went with it. It's on Xbox. If you're a member of Xbox, if you got Xbox Gold, Game Pass or whatever, there might be the little program on there for you to get the 3 free months. Check this film out if you do, because it's a definite solid watch. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.